Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Paul.
This is Senex.
We're bringing you the first game of the round of 8 StarCraft 2 FRB Grand Tournament between the one and the only Rainbow and his opponent GoSuTgun.
It's true, we're definitely starting off with a bang in the round of 8. Rainbow, who showed some very strong and convincing games, soundly defeating his opponent in the round of 16, but now he's going to have to go against GoSuTgun, who is a very skilled Zerg. There's a little bit of banter going on right now with them talking a little bit in Korean, just going back and forth.
Yeah, and if you will remember with me, Rainbow is the one who took out Puck in the round of 16, and GoSuTgun actually took out Arya Sawabati. I was actually very surprised by that victory by T-Gun, so he really showed a lot of strength as a player. So I wouldn't say that he is going to get completely dominated by Rainbow this game. I would actually say that it's going to be a close match.
Yeah, both these players were playing against Protoss actually in the round of 16, and
Yeah.
so they haven't quite flexed their FRB muscle against either a Terran or a Zerg respectively yet, and it's going to be a definite kind of question as to how these players approach it. For example, we do see Rainbow going for gas first, and because that is a high-yield gas, it's going to give him an enormous influx of gas very early on, which definitely suggests he's going for some kind of tech early.
Yeah, that's definitely a good observation. I would say that you probably, I don't know, he could go for Reapers. Obviously, it would be like an insanely fast Reaper. But with the amount of gas that he's going to get from this, I would say that it's likely that he'll go for a Banshee type play. But we'll see what he does choose to do.
Yeah, Banshees are a very strong, just kind of general strategy to do on this, though. Very fast reactored Hellion can be brought out also by taking that gas, and you just pull guys off of it after you have the amount of gas that you want. And it is going to be very much up to GoSuTgun to defend against this. He's not going for the spawning pool first, instead taking his expansion, which is definitely a kind of safe thing to do. But he's really going to have to pay attention to the fact that his opponent took this gas earlier than he probably suspects. He needs to click it, see how much has been mined.
Yeah, we do see the spawning pool dropping down for our Zerg players, so not doing anything crazy like taking 3 bases before he gets a spawning pool or anything like that. And
which,
actually,
before anybody laughs, we have actually seen in FRB games, and we've seen it work too.
Yeah, it's definitely viable. In this case, though, we are going to see our Terran player go for that factory, and the Zerg is just going to stick with 2 bases for now. And it could be, actually there is the reactor, so there's a good chance that you are correct, and he will be going for fast reactored Hellions, not picking up any minerals right now to go for an expansion, so it's very likely that he'll just kind of commit to this attack for now, and try to do some damage, then expand instead of fast expanding.
He also might go for all of the above because he's not pulled out of the refinery, which means he might be able to go for Banshees. Probably can't quite afford Cloak at the same time as going for reactored Hellions, but if he swaps this out right now and then immediately builds a starport, he might have enough money to go for both Banshees and Hellion Harass, and it could be very effective against his opponent. There's only one Queen now on the way, actually the second Queen also on the way, one Spine Crawler that's also coming up, but there's no even gas that's been mined at all for GoSuTgun, so Metabolic Boost is a very long way away.
Yes, indeed. So Rainbow just choosing to get those Hellions out, and actually he is saving up a little bit of minerals here. Good chance that he actually will go for an expansion, or, well, I mean, he's got like a ton of minerals. Yeah, there we go. There is the CC being built, and actually using that to wall off, so Zerg won't be able to get, obviously, into his base, regardless of the fact that he didn't build supply depots there. Now, as far as our Zerg player goes, he does have the Spine Crawler and a Queen up here. Of course, he's not making any Zerglings right now, and 2 Hellions are going to be coming into the base of Zerg. Now, Rainbow has some really good micro, so he can actually do a lot of damage with this. It does look like the Queen's almost take out one of these Hellions here, and actually, Rainbow's probably not going to be able to do too much. He does take... Oh, nope. There we go. Okay, he does take a shot off on the drones, but yeah, I think this Hellion attack's just going to get shut down.
It's very interesting to see T-Gun's reaction to this. He knows that it's not quite so easy for his opponent to make tons and tons of Hellions, so he made several Queens, now up to 4 actually, but only has 1 Zergling on the field. He's not trying to deal with this through a whole bunch of just Zerglings, and has been using his drones as a main form of defense. Overall, he ended up losing 1 worker in that, while his opponent lost 2 Hellions, so definitely coming out ahead in that particular engagement.
Yes, indeed. Now we do see 2 evolution chambers being dropped down for a Zerg player, so I'm going to go for some upgrades and obviously make a wall off there just to make sure that he's extra safe against any kind of crazy amount of Hellions that might be coming after him. And now Rainbow building 2 more factories, so definitely going to go for some mech play and actually make that 3 more factories right now. And on this map, Mech in these positions is a very, very effective strategy. I think it's one of the few that you can actually do it really well. And as long as Rainbow just makes sure that mutas don't get into his base and do too much damage, I think Mech could actually it could actually go really well for him.
Yeah, Mech is, you have to play it differently in FRB, but it can be very effective. Mech in FRB tends to be very aggressive, getting incredibly in your opponent's face and never letting them breathe, rather than trying to build the gigantic maxed out death ball. Because of that, it relies a lot on Hellions. Though, because GoSuTgun's very much on the ball, that one Overlord floats right in, sees exactly what his opponent is going for. He has absolutely perfect information, saw the third command center, saw the now 4 factories up. I feel like the 4 factories might be a little bit over aggressive. It's letting him triple pump tanks right now, which is very nice, but that's totally unsustainable, particularly just off of one base.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little bit too much. Now, perhaps if you were using all 3 of these bases, it might be a little bit okay. I do like the choice, though, to go for 2 additional command centers, actually orbital commands, because he is going to need the gas. There's less gas on the map for Rainbow to take off the 2 bases, so he will need that 3rd Vespian Geyser. And we'll see how it goes for him if he's actually able to use all 4 of these factories. Right now, though, he's not able to because of the gas shortage.
Yeah, and because of that gas shortage, he is definitely going to need to start kind of looking at producing just other units than these pure siege tanks. Right now, though, it is roaches that T-Gun is deciding to use to defend against it, which means that a very large influx of siege tanks might be effective. We saw Rainbow do something a lot like this in his second game in the round of 16. He went for 3 Starport Banshee, which once again is a totally unsustainable type attack, but it gave him this enormous sudden surge of high-tech units that his opponent just really wasn't ready to deal with. And as we see with the move out right now, a number of SCVs being brought along with these siege tanks with siege mode, and all that there is to defend against them is 2 roaches and a Zergling, which means this kind of sudden tech switch almost that T-Gun is now facing could be very, very dangerous for him as he's trying to take and saturate that 3rd base.
Yeah, Rainbow is going to go ahead and go for the natural right now. And actually, nope, yeah, he's going to go for the natural, not choosing to go for the 3rd. He is going to siege up his tanks outside the ramp of our Zerg player, and actually T-Gun's upgrades are hopefully going to be able to get finished in time. Yeah, they do get finished in time, and Rainbow takes out that Spine Crawler. Now, T-Gun just really doesn't have too much to defend with, although he does have a decent amount of roaches, and actually, wow, interestingly enough, he's going to lift them into his Overlords and drop them on the tanks. Rainbow's going to have to be really careful because the splash damage is actually dropping some queens right there. The splash damage is actually doing a lot of damage to his own tanks.
That was a perfect response from T-Gun. Rainbow had amazing position right there. He was actually using T-Gun's own wall against him by having those 2 evolution chambers blocking off any roaches that wanted to try to get in and engage. And so because T-Gun had invested in the drop tech, he just picked up all his guys and did almost a marine drop that we'll see sometime in Terran versus Terran. Though he is immediately loading up again and looks to be wanting to go and harass Rainbow. Rainbow does, however, have a whole bunch of missile turrets that are ready to go, but is right now harassing the top right base. 2 Hellions that went in and are each getting several kills against the drones.
Yeah, Rainbow is currently at 7 worker kills, whereas T-Gun currently has 4 worker kills. So Rainbow not doing really nearly enough damage in the attack that he did have. That was a huge investment, and as mech, you just cannot lose your units, especially this early. You cannot lose those units.
Starting to get a little bit worried for Rainbow now, I have to admit, because he's added on 2 more factories, but really can't even support the 4 he currently has. And the drop that's going down right now deposits a pretty large payload of roaches that he's going to need to pull units back to deal with that he just really doesn't have.
Yeah, you know, Rainbow has a Thor out now. He does have a sieged up tank and some Hellions. I think he'll be able to clear up this attack, but, you know, T-Gun, let's look at the worker skill. Is up to 13 worker kills. I think he was at 4 before, so that's...
Huge attack in the front, too. Dropped off a whole bunch of units in order to bypass all of those supply depots that were currently in the way, and because Rainbow was forced to pull all of his units back in order to attempt to deal with this, he really just couldn't defend both places at once, and it's definitely kind of showing that mech, while it can work, has to be played extremely aggressively. If you don't have your opponent on the back foot for really most of the game, have them always trying to react to you instead you're reacting to them, T-Gun's macro advantage right now is just far too large.
Yeah, T-Gun's at 123 supply. Rainbow is only at 73 right now. He does have 3 command centers, or orbital commands, whatever you want to call them, but he's only actually able to use 2, and just pumping SCVs out of one of them, it's just, You know, he's in a really tight spot, and, you know, to play mech, you have to play it so perfectly. And your positions have to be so perfect. You cannot lose stuff. And, I mean, unfortunately, Rainbow's first attack just didn't do enough damage.
Yeah, one thing also that I do think has been a major factor in T-Gun's success thus far in the game that really hasn't gotten quite enough credit has been his extremely good creep threat. It's almost
Oh!
actually at Rainbow's base right now, and the big drop going in.
Yeah, a huge drop in the main base of our Terran player. Now, there are quite a few tanks here and some Thors to hold, and if some SCVs could get pulled up here to repair, our Terran player might be okay, but I don't know, it's just looking really risky. And actually, T-Gun lifts off his units again, dropping them once more onto the tanks, and these roaches are just doing so much damage against the tanks. Only a few Thors left right now. It's looking really close for Rainbow.
This has been a fantastic game for T-Gun. He's really been taking advantage of the fact that fewer resources means just generally less units. Because you have less units and need to more kind of custom cut which units you're fielding, it's not as easy to get a large number of Thors to do things like snipe down overlords, and he's really been using this drop play extremely effectively to bypass any siege tank emplacements that he doesn't want to engage just head on.
Yeah, no, it does look like your Zerg player is currently taking his 4th base, and Rainbow is still fighting to keep his natural up, and it's not even taking his 3rd base, which he could, but honestly, he really couldn't because he does not have anywhere near enough units to defend to defend that 3rd base.
Yeah, there was, I think, a little bit of Hellion harassment that went in. So GoSuTgun, however, has just really totally dominated in terms of worker killed. He's killed
Oh,
32
wow.
workers so far, and it's now just 26 SCVs against 41 drones. So once again, Rainbow just struggling so hard to get the income that he needs to make the strategy work, and unfortunately, he's committed too far to do anything to transition out of. He's really 100% committed to mech, and is having a very hard time building up the raw number of units he needs to make it work.
Yeah, the only thing that could really get him back into this game is like some awesome Hellion drops and worker kills, but it's just not looking very likely for our Terran player. I mean, GoSuTgun has creep sped all over the map. He's got overlords everywhere he could possibly need them, and any kind of harassment that Rainbow tries to do is just going to get shut down. We do see so many factories up here, and only 2 of them are actually being used right now for Terran. And, oh, it's just such a bad position for him.
The harassment's continuing as well. Just 4 roaches dropped off, scoring just whatever kills they can. He doesn't need to commit to any super just all-in style harassment. He just needs to occasionally get in, snipe off a couple SCVs, because those SCVs are practically irreplaceable right now. Now only 24 against 55. GoSuTgun doubling the economy of his opponent, and also moving up to Hive Tech. Once those Hive Tech units hit the field, I really think it will be lights out for Rainbow, because he doesn't have the money to invest in the things like Vikings that he's going to need to defend.
Yeah, indeed, and actually Rainbow has made a transition. He did make a starport, but, you know, he knows what's coming. I don't think one starport's going to be anywhere near enough to defend against the Broodlords that are most likely going to be coming out here, and I've really just been waiting for that moment for T-Gun to go ahead, switch into Hive, and I'm sure we'll be seeing
nice
Broodlords
harassment
soon.
going on in the 3rd base of T-Gun, though. Rainbow actually splitting up his SCVs quite nicely, moving in and dropping a scan so that he can start harassing the drones that he needs to really be killing off. This is definitely what he has to be doing, though. Unfortunately, he lost all of those Hellions in the attack.
Yeah, very unfortunate loss once again for Rainbow, and sadly he's just been sitting around 78, 80 supply, currently up to 88 right now, so he's getting a little bit of a boost for supply. One Viking is on the way, and it's just not looking good again, like I said before, for Rainbow, and I'm actually looking for it. I was going to say if he's going to get a greater spire, maybe he's not making it yet for a Zerg player, but I'm sure that's what tech he will be going for.
Yeah, we will have to see what tech he decides to use that Hive Tech for. He's not even using it for upgrades, really, so it might have been a little bit premature for T-Gun to invest in it, but ultimately, he doesn't even need to worry about it. Also, if you look around the northern part of the map, he has creep being dropped at all of the bases that Rainbow might be able to take, so even if he did feel comfortable moving out, he wouldn't even be able to. He can't land any command centers.
No, and it does look like we have some attack upgrade research going for our Terran play. So Rainbow is definitely not giving up, as I think he should not give up at all. He's still in this game, and as long as Broodlords don't come on the field, you know, Terran could be in a recoverable position, although it does look like we are going to have a huge drop from our Zerg player coming in here with Roaches and Overlords going ahead and dropping his roaches probably a little bit too early, but did not want to lose those, and I think Zerg might be able to overrun Terran, although these tanks are doing a ton of damage to these roaches, and wow, Rainbow actually holding on right there.
I can't believe what I just saw.
Wow.
That was a very, very questionable attack from GoSuTgun. Like, I don't want to be questioning the pros, but he just ran a whole bunch of roaches into an incredibly well-entrenched Terran position. He lost almost 100 supply in that attack, and Rainbow
Oh my God.
really got himself back in a position
Wow.
that I was almost convinced he could not recover from. I do think, though, that he needs to make something happen, and we can see it right now. He's starting to organize units to maybe do a bit of a push-out. It's very risky for him because T-Gun is starting to remax quite aggressively, but what else can he do? He has to do something to get back in this fight, and because that attack was such a disaster, he has a small window of opportunity to do it. Dang.
Oh, I was just saying that that small window of opportunity is actually so small that Rainbow's not even going to try to take it, and looks like he's actually just moving his tanks up here, sieging them up, and going to try to take his third once this creep is cleared up.
This is a moderately good position for him, though, because with all of
Oh
these
wait,
siege
hold on a
tanks-
second. I think the stream crashed.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Here, I'm going to pause it. Anyway, so as I was saying, Rainbow is moving his tanks up here and defending his third. Of course, the creep spread is still on his way, so regardless of the fact that he's cleared out so much, he's not even able to take his third, and that just sucks for Terran.
Yeah, and this is going to be pretty dangerous for him. He doesn't really have any anti-air, and GoSuTgun's loading up his units again. If he can drop them right on top of the siege tanks, and in fact, we see Rainbow pulling back right now. I do think he knows how vulnerable he is to some kind of big drop, and that he really, like, ultimately he has to take this base, but it's very questionable if he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and actually we see a ton of overlords and even queens up here for our Zerg player, and they're just going for it, man. Regardless of these Vikings here, it looks like we are going to have a huge drop on the tanks, and oh my god, such a scary spot for Terran to be in right here.
Yeah, that was definitely not the disastrous attack that happened before. He unloaded his units directly on the roaches and did not, unfortunately, unload them directly in front, and there was no choke right there, and we really saw Rainbow get punished for having his tank sieged up right there, though honestly, I don't think it would have been that much different even if they'd been unsieged.
No, and we just see 2 more tanks being produced for our Terran player, but that's just not going to be enough. I mean, for him to get back into this game, it would just have to be an incredible miracle, and there is the GG from Rainbow. Alright guys, sorry for that crash. Hopefully it does not happen again. Not sure why that happened. I guess it was just the internet being funky. But we do apologize for that, and we'll be continuing on to the next game here pretty soon.